my lows. So when I bounce back up, you see the triumph in the story.
The progression.
Because you can never respect the win if you never see notification.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are a society built on that. Culture is built on that. Like how can I be an overnight success? If you're trying to lose weight and you make these adjustments, I guarantee you could lose an easy 10 pounds in a month by making this adjustment.
I need more.
Yeah.
Like it's like going to the gym and you putting up 85 pounds on the bar. You're like, bro, this ain't nothing. 135. Bro, come on, bro. Quit insulting me. Like, I need more. It's like, now what? I've already repped out 135 too many times. All right, go up to 185. I already repped that out.
Nigga, start golfing, nigga. Fuck.
I mean, yeah. But it's also like money constraints kind of thing.
So outside of money, what's your next step then?
Say it again?
Outside of money, like a fiscal goal, what's your next step?
It's funny because I was actually reading that. And that was part of the book. It's like, what brings purpose?
Right.
Because your purpose dictates your passion, your priorities and stuff. So now I'm like, all right, I need to figure out how to get back to that alignment and understanding what
I'm
that
like,
is.
food, like, outside of you just being like a workaholic, bro, that's business and that's work. What about life, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
nigga, your business and your work supposed to align with your life, not the other way around.
Agreed. And that's the thing of being the workaholic is you don't perceive that.
Right.
You're just like, you're such in fight or flight mode all the time. Like, I got to get out of this rat race that you don't wake up to smell the roses. And then when you do, you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, wait, I can go out and enjoy stuff and I can go do this and do that and chill and relax. But again, it's like telling a kid to sit down and he's hyped up on energy. He's like, yo, I got to do something. I don't know what. It's like, what do you want to do? I don't know. I just got to do something. And that's kind of that point where I'm at now. It's just a weird phase.
Yeah, we definitely gonna tap into that.
Yeah.
You gonna have to keep that in. We rolling.
Everything is cool. We call it, my guy.
We straight. We good.
Everything is.
You know, Dave Mill can't. He was over there just. He didn't even do nothing conspicuous. Now, speaking of conspicuous, remember that dude, the guy who was telling us to talk about more about like trades and stuff.
Yeah.
I tried recording him secretly.
Uh-huh.
Because he was saying some good stuff. He was just talking about people how they should get into trades, and I was like, dude, and then it turned green. He's like, I caught you. I caught you.
Yeah, he was saying how we should talk about the benefits of learning trades. I believe you said because like a lot of like American like students that coming up now don't want to do like trades are not sexy.
They're not.
You know,
I mean, really, actually losing out on like, the plumbers, the
exactly,
carpenters, like,
and
all
those
stuff like
jobs are going to other schools or other ethnicities,
Ethnic
right?
groups, yeah.
And so it's like, yo, they're not sexy, but these are 6-figure paying jobs. That's some of them,
Set it up right.
Exactly. So yeah, man. You good? You know we are recording, so I'm hearing that all this shit, right?
Yeah, this man is tweaking. that
So
nigga,
I was trying to add the hypotenuse into it.
hey, they moved that nigga over there playing with the mic.
Man, what?
That's crazy work.
I don't
He is
condone.
playing.
I don't condone.
He trying to get as close to his lips as possible.
That's nasty. That's nasty.
Anyway,
Let's
man,
restart this recording.
welcome back. Welcome back, OPA to OPM. I'm your host, Markel Gale, with my co-host, Dave Mill. Alex, what's up, fellas?
What's good, Markel? What's good, bro?
Hey, we got a special one. We got my brother, David Turner. I like to call him Dave T in the building. Mr. Faith-based transformational coach and content creator. Welcome, brother.
Appreciate you, my guy.
How you
Appreciate
feeling?
y'all
How you
having
feeling?
me. Good, man. Can't complain. We
So-
here.
So, man, what made you want to become a faith-based transformational coach? Like, can you explain what that is?
I feel like the ideation behind it like speaks for itself. First, the transformation coach, the idea behind that was being a trainer. I ran my business for 4 years now.
Right.
So started September 2020. And as time went on, I understood that being in the gym was more of a mental game than it was physical. The physical was just a byproduct of what you transform on the inside. So like seeing that adaptation happen and seeing how I had to pour into people more mentally than I did physically, like the workout's easy, pushing people through that. But how I saw people's lives transform, like their personalities, them finding themselves through their transformation in the gym, made me want to shift kind of like the concept behind my business and turn into a transformation coach. The faith-based aspect behind that is my life is rooted in God, point blank period. Like he's my everything and he's the foundation of my transformation. I can only teach people from what I know. If I teach anything outside of that, it's nothing but fluff. So with that, I knew I wanted to tap into that lane because I knew that's what God was calling me to do. I've been public speaking since 2017. So preaching, motivational speaking, different things like that, and being used by God in that way, I knew that's where he was shifting my brand. So with that, that's where I was like, all right, God, how can I kind of combine these two to where I feel fulfilled by walking in my purpose, but also fulfilling my desires and helping people transform through gym stuff. So that's where I collided the two and was able to come up with the kind of like business concept of a faith-based transformation coach because I haven't seen it. Right. I haven't seen somebody in that lane kind of mastering both sides and then marketing it that way. And if I want to put myself brand-wise, like we know how brands work, if I want to put myself in a position to where it's like, all right, I'm really the only one in my lane doing this thing, that makes people want to come to me for that specific service. It makes like my business almost a revolving door. Right. And I've never struggled with clients since then.
I got a quick question. Since you said you preach and you're big on faith, like, do you know the people you on the podcast with right now?
No.
Like, cause like you said you're building your brand.
Right.
You'll run a bunch of heathens right now.
Hey.
Look, I mean, he spends what 4 days a week.
Hey, my goodness!
Yeah.
The door is right there. Are you sure you want to go through this?
No, this is the rooms I need to be in. 100%. Heathen is wild, bro.
I'm not claiming that.
That's wild, bro.
That is him.
Hey, look,
He's not talking about us. He's not talking about us too. He's talking about
He didn't make no eye contact with nobody. He said this room is a bunch of heathens.
Hey, look. All I can say is, all I can do is judge by what I see, right? Yeah. And I know me.
Yeah.
This is the baby oil bandit right there.
That's nasty.
No Diddy.
That's the baby oil bandit.
No Diddy.
What is going on? Baby oil bandit.
No Diddy.
That's a crazy
No
nickname.
Diddy. Hey.
That's really what you go by?
No.
That's all right. You can say that with it, bro.
He said, you wonder why they call me Bob.
Baby oil bandit
man.
is nasty.
If you ain't see me on none of them Diddy tapes, it's not true.
Oh, I wish you
He in the window like this. He outside the window.
shoot.
Hey,
But it could
when you
be.
go home tonight, brother, say an extra prayer.
I am. He's on the prayer list now.
I appreciate that.
Lord.
But yeah, so you were talking about faith-based and excuse me, you brought up a good point is that being in the gym is difficult. Being in life is difficult, but understanding what your higher powers or higher calling is different. Like, how did you know that this was your calling?
So I have this conversation with him a lot, and I do like a lot of personal coaching as well, just for like young men, even people my age and older. So with that, one thing I've noticed with a lot of people is that nobody really has the courage to take the time to find themselves. And I don't say that in the sense of like they don't want to. I feel like a lot of people want to know like, why am I put on this earth? But if we can be honest, how many people do you know that can sit in a room, dark, no music, no TV for a certain amount of time and just sit with their thoughts? Very rarely can you find somebody that's comfortable in doing that. You know what I'm saying? And that comfort builds up over time. But with the successful men that I'm around, one key part that everybody has in common is the fact that they have taken the time in a season of singleness, isolation season, whatever it may be. They've taken the time to find themselves. And then once you have that foundation of you can build on that. Because think about it. If you're trying to build on like just sand, if you don't know yourself, you're constantly shifting the idea of who you are, like your identity. So if that's constantly shifting, that means your foundation is constantly moving. Can you build a house on that? No. Because the moment life happens, the moment something comes, you'll crash and you're done. And that's when you see a lot of people fold. So it's like with that understanding, I feel like that is where it came from. It's just taking the time to really like find yourself, because that's where a lot of people fall.
Slight pushback. For the people who are, let's say, younger, like younger men, younger women, still trying to figure themselves out.
Right.
A lot of times we're told, like, experiment, figure out what you like and what you don't like. how does that play into it? Like, if someone's still trying to figure themselves out, but you're saying that they need to build foundation, that's what's the word?
Contradictory.
There you go.
So one thing with that, I think a lot of times we end up tying like what somebody's called to do to their purpose. And those are two different things. So somebody can be trying to figure out what they're called to do in life. That's different than the purpose of why God put you here on earth. So for me, even like for me, right, as time goes on, I'm still finding my true like calling in life, and that varies per season. But one thing that I do know is God put me on this earth to transform lives. For you, I don't know what that may be, but there's a specific one. You have a specific gift. You take the time to find that. That has nothing to do with one, how you use that gift and what it is. So like experiment with different things. That's going to take the time to find out what am I good at. That's one thing. But also it allows you to find the purpose of like something that will never shift. Your purpose will never change. I don't care like how young or how old you are. I remember they tried to put me on ADHD medicine when I was 4 or 5, and my parents pushed back against it. I never got
Like
on it,
Ritalin?
thank God. Huh? I have no idea what it was. But they tried it because I couldn't sit down and I kept on talking. And little did I know my purpose later in life was to be able to speak on platforms like this. It was to be constantly moving around, because if I didn't have like that kind of like wittiness, or really that you can say attention deficit to where I'm just shifting all different places, I don't think I would have the level of productivity or be able to produce the way I do now. So with that, I take that from young, that's 4 or 5. I can't say I knew my purpose at 4 or 5, but it's stuff like that that I can reflect on to where like, no, God put this in me. Now I just had to figure out, all right, how can he sanctify this to use it to his will or his glory in my life? You know what I'm saying? So people trying to figure that out, I would say the best order or process to do it is just, yes, you can experiment with things, and that's the time to do it, but experiment with intentionality. I don't feel like people do that. And like, it's one thing to experiment, but a lot of people just throw everything at a wall and see what sticks. That's not trying to find your purpose. I feel like you have to take the time to self-assess what God has, like, what is in me that I'm good at? What can I do better than other people? And then if there's a problem on this earth, what answer can I provide to it? So like, what is in me that I can supply an answer regardless of where I go? And that supersedes a job title. That supersedes anything other than that. You know what I'm saying? So like that would be like my answer to that question. Because like I said, a lot of people tie all right, I'm gonna throw whatever at a wall and see what I'm good at, and then tie it to doing that thing, and it has to supersede that. Because say that thing gets taken away, or they automate that. You know what I'm saying? Then what? Now you lose your identity, your purpose, and then you're lost in life.
Yeah, because oftentimes it's like, oh, do what you love, and you'll never have to work another day in your life.
Exactly.
But what they don't realize is that there's caveats to that.
It is. In one book, I don't know if you guys have read it. It's called what is it? So Good They Can't Ignore You by Steve Martin, or the quotes by Steve Martin. I forgot the author of the book. But one thing that they talked about in that book was the passion hypothesis. And it's like a lot of people will spit the game of find your passion, do that, and then you'll be satisfied with life. And they found that less than 10% actually were satisfied by chasing their passion. So that's the hypothesis behind it. And the caveat to it was, you get so good at something, you'll end up developing a passion for it. Then you'll feel like you're fulfilling the purpose. So it's like working on yourself or working at something that, okay, I found the gift that I have. I don't like speaking in public. I don't. I didn't like training. I ran from it for a while. Like a lot of people told me, train when I was in college, like creating programs with our basketball team. Doing that, I didn't like dealing with people at the moment. So that will always be my pushback. Like, I'm not trying to deal with a lot of people. I don't. I'd rather be shut off by myself, whatever it may be. But I had a gift in being able to influence people to like want to better themselves. Regardless of what I did, I could have been wilding, but people just always was drawn to me in that way. So I had to step into that calling. And that's where, all right, now that I see that I have this type of influence, all right, how can I get better at that? And then as time went on, I'm like, dang, transforming life, I found value in that. And I started to get good at it. More people started coming. It's like, all right, I started to develop a passion for wanting to do it. But when I first started, I didn't want to start my business.
I got a quick. So, transformational coach. I hear you saying physical, mental. But what is everything that encompass a transformational coach? Like, what are each thing that you offer people to transform their lives?
So it transcends in different areas. The fitness aspect of it will be different more so than like when I have like say coaching calls with Kel.
So
like,
fitness, you're being like physical trainer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do fitness and nutrition coaching.
Okay.
Online and in person. That is more so. That's where all of this stemmed from.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of branched out to now more professional and personal coaching to help people kind of find themselves. So really, if I could describe transformation coach in my terms, because I don't feel like I fit the mold of like a traditional transformation coach, it's really helping people find themselves or build the confidence to love themselves inside and out. You know what I'm saying? To be able to one, find your purpose internally. I focus on that a lot with my personal coaching and professional coaching. In the gym, fitness-wise, being able to feel confident in your own skin. So transforming you to the point, and that's, like I said, that's more mental than anything. Because I've seen a lot of people get the body of their dreams and they're still not satisfied. Because they're not internally, they didn't transform internally, they just lost a little weight. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, all right, I work in the gym like, all right, learn to love what you're doing in here. The more you fall in love with the process, the more you'll love the product. But a lot of people miss out on falling in love with the process. They get stuck in that rat race. All right, I'm just show to the gym. You lose that 15 pounds and you're like, dang, but I still got a little roll right here. Or I still got this right here. And it's like, you missed the whole point. Don't fall in love with that number on the scale. Fall in love with the process and the person that you become. Because if you can look back, even with me, if I look back over my fitness journey, the transformation that I adapted from a discipline standpoint, a knowledge standpoint, and then my confidence, now I can take those principles. I never lose that. So regardless, all right, I gained a little bit of weight back. I have the discipline now to lose it again. I have the confidence to walk around where it's like, I lost a little bit of weight, but I'm still not back where I was. So I feel comfortable in my skin. And you're able to walk around with those different qualities instead of I lost the 15 pounds, but I'm still not disciplined. So I gained it back. Now I can't lose it again. You know what I'm saying? So like transforming people in that manner. And then, like I said, the personal professional coaching transformation wise is more so focused on helping people find their purpose. Like I want to help people find them and allow God to use me to do that and give them practical steps to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I actually think that touches back on a conversation we either had last week or this week about focusing more so on the end goal and not focusing on the end goal and just focusing on the process, because the more you focus on the process, you're going to eventually fall into that end goal.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you are right. The working out in the gym and being consistent not only creates discipline in the gym, but also
outside.
it starts to
Bleeds
spill
over,
over
yeah.
into other aspects of your life. So let's talk about other aspects of your life. You know, you're a content creator now.
Yeah.
What made you start creating content and wanting to share your story?
So that is the inspiration behind that is a little tricky. Like still to this day, I don't like creating content. Like
Preach.
I do it. It started out as me doing it for business, but now I do it on my personal page a lot more because of the fact that I wanted to document my life. And when I went through my season of like isolation and finding myself and different things like that, I developed like 9 almost core values that I wanted my content to portray. And it made it easier for me to like create from an authentic space. Because I'm super big on like putting out authentic stuff. And if I feel like I gotta force a video out, I'm just not about to post. Like I'm gonna just keep it in the vault.
Hold on. What are some of those core values?
So the way and this is something I recommend everybody do, and I have all my clients do. One thing that I did is I took the 3 initials from my name. So David Anthony Turner, I took D, A, and T. And I found 3 things that I wanted my content to portray from each initial. But not just my content, but things I wanted to embody. So the 3 the 3 Ds.
Okay.
Pause. Okay. I called it beforehand.
No diddy.
right.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, come on, Bob, chill.
So that's crazy. It's 3Ds and Diddy. I never thought of that.
Oh, wow.
It is.
I never thought of that. But go.
Now we got shit
Hey,
topics.
yeah.
It's getting wicked. So the 3 first initial is determination, disciplined, and I want to be dominant in my field. So I want to be seen as like whatever I'm doing, I want to be seen as like one of the best to do it. Discipline aspect, I want my content and me as an individual to portray that. So I'll post me waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'll post me in the gym consistently. And then we'll go to the A's. So the A's are authenticity, ambidextrous, and then what's my last joint? Authenticity, ambidextrous, and it's another one.
I can't remember either. But they get the point.
Yeah. So we'll stick with the two. But I want to be authentic when aesthetically pleasing. So I create from a place of like, I actually care about the way this looks. So when people see it, I want the video to be crisp. I want it to tell a clear story, different things like that. So when I create, I'm not just about to put out fluff, but also aesthetically pleasing. And when I show up to a place, I want my presentation to be aesthetically pleasing. So I want to stay in shape. I want to be well groomed, different things like that. And ambidextrous to where I can have conversations, like you said. I can sit in a room with quote unquote heathens and be fine, but I can also go. I could sit with the sinner and I could sit with the saint and be fine. You know what I'm saying? But also have like the versatility to have real conversations with both. And I feel like that's something a lot of people lack. Like some people are just so gun ho on their beliefs and so gun ho on like pushing their narrative on other people. They're not willing to sit there and just have a conversation. Like I can sit with anybody. We can have a conversation about sound doctrine in the Bible, and we can have a conversation about business principles. And I have the versatility to go in depth in both. So I want my content to portray that as well. And then the T's is I want to be transparent, true to myself, and I want to show triumph. The biggest thing is triumph, because a lot of people spit a lot of fluff on social media. It's all wins. I want you to show like, I ain't feeling it this week. Like I missed a few days in the gym. You're going to see my lows. So when I bounce back up, you see the triumph in the story.
The progression.
Because you can never respect the win if you've never seen the loss. You can't. So that's one thing. That just developing those words and creating from that space and carrying myself in that way has helped me kind of like truly, I feel like, find myself. You know what I'm saying?
So speaking of triumph and getting to that next step, when you're helping people unbig their back, like how do you go?
He said that so smooth too, like mad professional.
Definitely trying to throw that in.
Bullshit.
So when you helping these high calorie people, right? I'm trying to be.
Hey man, fuck you. I
ain't say nothing.
feel attacked.
Chill, Bob. Chill. So when you helping these people,
that's better. Go ahead.
Like how do you? What's the progression? Like how do you get to them to the point where they can start believing in themselves and start thinking that maybe it is something that I can actually do with myself and hit these goals and be confident. Like you said, confidence in yourself is a big thing. How do you get them to that point?
So the systematic approach that I've taken with everybody is starting at base level, but making them do the work. I feel like a lot of, at least in the fitness industry, it's either I'm gonna curse you out or I'm gonna hold your hand.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't teach people how to get results. I focus on the knowledge aspect. I can send him for a month and he can create a whole program for himself and be fine. Because I give people the basic knowledge that you need to one, understand what you're doing in the gym. I feel like true transformation happens from knowledge. Like even from a business standpoint, right? The better you understand your business and what you want your business to, whatever purpose you want your business to fulfill, the better you can show up in your business. I feel like that is clear as day. So with that, I take that same principle and apply it to the gym. If I want you to do 3 sets of 10 for bench press, but you don't understand what this is working, how this is going to benefit you once you finish these 10 reps, or these 3 sets of 10, why are you going to do it?
Right.
But if I tell you, look, I want you to feel this chest contraction, the reason we're doing this and the reason I want you to go slow in your reps is to help you kind of engage your muscles a little bit more. That's going to help you eventually get stronger over time, and that's where muscle building comes from. Knowing that, now every time I go to, it's going to be no question for me to kind of slow down my reps, regardless if I want to rush it, because I told you why we're doing this. I attached a result to it. Now you're pushing towards something. And you have the knowledge to do so. But if I just tell you do it, and you're like, bro, I'm not feeling it, and you just like, bro, just do it. Where's my drive? So I feel like how I've been able to kind of get people to listen to me and then really buy into the process is educating them on why they're doing it. And then from there, once you understand the why, the work is inevitable. Like it just happens.
So it sounds. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna ask. So does that keep them does that process even keep them coming back, even after like I see results for 1 week, but the next 2 weeks I might not see no results. So you know how that kills people confidence. Does that keep them coming back too?
So educating them on the process. Like I said, we're not. I tell people on the sales call, look, I'm not the overnight trainer. That's not what I'm here for, because just as fast as you get the results, you're going to lose them even faster. So my job is to give you foundational principles that we can build up over time. I'm going to tell you, look, it may take 3 months to get where you want to get, but over these 12 weeks, this is what I expect the first 2. So now we get past the first 2, it's like, all right, we're in phase 2 now. Now you have something new to look forward to. But if I'm just like, all right, we're just going to shoot to lose 10 pounds, and then you're just constantly losing, you're going to get lost when we hit that second or third week and you don't have an understanding of like, why am I not losing weight? So it's educating them on the process. And like, for me, I have a systematic approach. So like I said, I have phases. I have a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. I'm going to let you know that before we get into it. So when that time comes, I can remind you, look, I told you we're in phase 2. I'm trying to build your metabolism. So I'm not focused on the scale right now. So you don't need to either. So it's like, if I told you that from the beginning, I can reflect on it. And it's when you get blindsided, people lose that motivation.
Kind of a controversial take. Which one's easier, gaining weight or losing it?
Easily losing. Like, it's not even close.
Oh, explain that.
So,
I mean,
that one's more difficult.
Yeah.
So losing weight is more difficult. No, losing weight is by far easier. I'll tell you why. Gaining weight is not just gaining weight. Gaining muscle is what people are talking about when they're gaining weight. Advanced muscle gain in a year is at max 6 pounds. You can lose 6 pounds in a week, really, but you can lose it in a month. But 6 pounds of body fat, you can lose in 3 weeks, respectfully. So it's like when you weigh those two things and the amount, like for me, I don't like being like dumb, like my stomach OC full, like all the time. To gain muscle, you have to eat to that point, and especially get all your protein in. Like if I'm not hungry, I'm not about to eat. You know what I'm saying? But when you're trying to gain, you have to kind of push those limits a little bit. And then like you still gotta train as hard as ever to gain that muscle, and it's different things like that. So for me, the biggest thing, the hardest thing about that kind of like tipping that scale is losing weight is difficult, but most people don't have the patience to endure real bulking phase, because body fat has to come with that, and then like you're not really OC liking how your body looks while you're gaining that, because you have to trust the process to know I'm gonna add this weight, and then when we cut it down, I'm gonna look sweet. But in the process, I'm not just gonna be like OC as lean as I want. I'm not just about to pack on just muscle. So that's why I say the mental game behind gaining, but also the time invested behind it makes it more difficult.
How does that translate into life?
So just patience. A lot of people don't. We want, what is it? Instant gratification. Like we are a society built on that. Culture is built on that. Like how can I be an overnight success? And I feel like a lot of people lose the race because if I don't gain 10K followers in a month, then I lost or I failed. And it's like, no, bro, I got 100K. He built that up over 5 years. Or she may have got her 100K, but she got it off of something like that overnight, and it wasn't like there's no sustained audience built. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people miss out on even like this podcast, like other people's money, other people's audience. You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to grab that attention, or even to get other people's money to invest in different things like that, you have to have some type of skin in the game. Like I'm not just about to throw that to somebody that just started last night. For me, it don't make sense. Right. So with that, you have to have one, skin in the game and time invested to be able to really build that up and have that kind of like true transformation in my eyes.
How do you balance everything from being a transformational coach, a trainer, a nutritionist, to a content creator, and because
he working 9 to 5 too,
and working 9 to 5, and this is like a business that you're describing that you have. You're a business owner, so how do you balance all of these things?
I got a controversial take on that. I feel like balance is a myth.
There's no such thing as balance.
Yeah. I feel like balance is a myth when it comes to you actually striving to be as productive as possible. If you try and balance everything evenly, you're shortchanging areas that don't need to be shortchanged.
Okay.
So I'm in a season, and I feel like you have to go through these seasons to where I'm pouring all I can, and I have to invest everything I have in those areas if I want to set myself up long term.
So let me rephrase this then, since I kind of agree with you. There's no such thing as balance. How do you place on the importance of putting energy into this thing versus something else then?
So, like he was talking about beforehand, really prioritizing and delegating my time in specific areas. Going in like 1 week, so like this week, more of my time has been delegated to my 9 to 5 because I have stuff to handle there. Next week may look different when like I'm off a little bit next week because I'm traveling. So that week I'll be able to pour a little bit into the business because I'll be a little bit more laid back. I can kind of forecast for the next month, different things like that. So when it comes to balance, just setting up a plan like, all right, going into the next month, I know these specific dates, I got to handle more admin work for the business. These days, I'm pouring a little bit more into the job at work. Like my mid-month at work, I'm in tech sales. So my mid-month at work is like the biggest part of my month because like that's what set me up. That's what dictate how I end the month, and starting it is just, you just go out and go as fast as you can. So with that, like developing a plan and attacking my day, like I know I'm getting up at 3:30, start my day, the first half of that day, spend the first 30 minutes.
Tell me.
Go ahead.
Getting up at what?
3:30, yeah.
PM?
AM. I wish, bro. I wish.
Okay. Damn, that's a mental grind in itself.
It is.
Damn.
It is. And that's where, like, understanding, you have to have a plan. I wouldn't survive if not.
All right, hold on, wait. So let's stop right there. How do you plan?
So,
Like I don't want to hear like the basic, like generic information of how to plan. Like we all know the journal, date, time blocking, XYZ. But how do you plan?
I'm trying to give a non-generic answer. So with that, like I said, I have to have a vision for what I want to execute in the month to come or the days to come. You know what I'm saying? So like I have basically like my Sundays are for me mapping out my week. I know what my whole week is going to look like by Sunday evening. And I do that because I feel like I'm most productive when I can predict. And if I go into my day trying to guess how I'm going to do things, then I end up missing out on being as productive as possible. So for me, it's like, all right, I'll take my 9 to 5, for example. I have a quota of 40, right? Let's hypothetically.
40 sales.
Yeah.
All right.
So if my quota's at 40, I know if we split the weeks up into 4 weeks in a month, that's 10 closes a week. I need to know Sunday, all right, this week I'm trying to get 10. What does that look like every day? All right, let's shoot to get 2 to 3 every day throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? So I have that. All right, that's how I plan and forecast for that. I have a certain process of how I'm going to get there within the job. That's a little bit more technical.
Yeah.
But that's how I kind of, but if I don't have that vision, now I'm just showing up to work. All right, I'm going to try to talk to as many people as possible and see where I land. It's like, no.
So like, if you don't mind, like,
Mapping out
telling
vision.
the people and what does like a typical day look like, planned out, like, starting at 3:30 or at 3 a.m.
So wake
you
up.
spend 30 minutes with God.
Yeah, wake up 3:30, sometimes 3:45 if I want to sleep in a little bit. Wake up then.
Crazy. That's 3:45.
Spend time. I try and block off a easy 30 for like, I do a 10-10-10 method. So 10 minutes of prayer, 10 minutes in my word, 10 minutes journaling. That way I kind of like a lot of people do, it's 5-5-5, but I kind of expanded on it. So I do that first. Once I finish that, get ready, get whatever. If I got to go into the office, get that stuff ready. But if not, throw my stuff on, head to the gym. At the gym, about 4:45, 5. Train from 5 to 6, 6:30. Go back home at the desk from about 6:30. I probably finish up around like 3 now. After that, try and get a meal in, then back to the gym at like 4:30.
Yeah, with big
train
dogs.
from 4:30 to like 7:30. Go home, kind of try and get another meal in, decompress, and then we're shooting to get to bed like 10:30,
Okay.
11.
You said with the big dog, so it must be some motherfuckers like over you. That's
Oh, hating ass nigga.
it's my fault. I was
Nigga
just
said, where the big dogs at?
hey, my fault. I'm just asking.
See, I was quiet. See, I was quiet.
Man, come on, big, you back with us, man. That's what we
And
saying.
you know what? That's crazy because I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
I was going to transition into that, but fuck you.
So for the spandex stretchers,
That's crazy.
the heavy breathers,
Hey, you know what?
Spandex stretches is wild. Yeah.
Y'all gonna stop attacking, all right?
people. Nah, but we need you on society.
So being a nutritionist for someone who is trying to unbig their back, right? So what are some of the things that you should be eating? What some of the things you should be staying away from? We know that you probably should be drinking more water and less carbs, but exactly like what are the things you should be eating and not eating and drinking? And what are some of the things? What are some of the workouts you should be doing if you're trying to lose like weight? Like you say, if you're trying to lose weight fast, or if you're trying to lose weight slow and steady.
Yeah.
You give the people some gems, man.
So easy, practical steps you could take. This is like free game for everybody. If you're trying to lose weight and you make these adjustments, I guarantee you could lose an easy 10 pounds in a month by making this adjustment. If you literally just switch to prioritizing at least 85% of your diet to whole foods, I don't care which. You don't have to start measuring. You have to do any of that.
What's Whole Foods?
Whole foods are like anything that is not processed yet. So you have like your fruits, vegetables, your lean proteins like chicken, fish. You have your fattier proteins like maybe a ground turkey, a grass-fed beef, different things like that, pause. Different things like that allow you to, one, it's a lot of hidden calories in processed food, and that's where a lot of people fail. So when you're able to make that switch and prioritize whole foods, one, you'll end up eating less calorie dense foods, which puts you in a calorie deficit. That's half of the battle right there. Once you do that, now all you have to do is, if you go into the gym, the best way to do it for beginners, right? You can take this and start today. You get 6 exercises, right? 1 for each body part. So you get 1 chest exercise, 1 back exercise. You want a shoulder, a quad, a hamstring, and some type of core or like maybe conditioning, right? You do 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 12 reps of that 3 times a week. If you do that and then try and hit 8 to 10K steps a day, I guarantee you lose 10 pounds in a month.
Hold on, wait. Y'all heard that.
Guaranteed.
So I'm going to need y'all to post some results.
Yeah, guaranteed.
How long was the timeline?
A month.
Oh,
You can lose
hey,
a month.
4 weeks. 4
Wait,
weeks.
how many-
I
how
want
many-
y'all
how
to
many
give
days
us
a
y'all
week?
results. Send them
Three.
in.
Three days a
Yeah.
week, 4 weeks straight.
3
6
days a week, 4
workouts.
days. Prioritize whole foods. So like,
How
when
long you got to work though? So if I get in that joint, I do
So
And
one
get on.
thing,
What the fuck are you doing?
leg press, leg extension.
Nigga like a little kid that could
so
feet
one
up
thing
around.
I tell a lot of people
Swing my
is
feet.
train with real intensity. I don't, very rarely do I ever see somebody actually train when I go to the gym. Very rarely. I see a lot of people work out, I see them sweat, but I don't see a lot of people actually train. And this is what it looks like. If you're able to take a set to true failure, to where you have to go into the set looking like, I don't think I'm gonna make all these reps. A lot of people, well, I know most people won't pick up that weight, or they won't go into a set like that. If you do 2 sets like that per body part, I guarantee you'll see the results you're looking for.
No, I agree because
Oh, now go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree because I've been doing that for like 3 years straight, and people were like, "How do you get these big results so quick?" I'm like, "Bro, go to failure, do 3 to 4 reps, watch CT Fletcher because you definitely only get cussed out." But it's like people don't have that discipline to want to like. People don't like looking ugly trying to work out.
They don't.
They want to look pretty and cute and
Perfect reps, perfect set. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
I was about to say, hold on. We got to dispel this myth real quick.
No.
So everybody believes that cardio is the
Lord.
fastest way to lose weight over lifting weights.
or is it a mix?
What
So-
what is the actual answer to that?
It's right and it's wrong. Like, cardio is a tool. So you have a toolbox that you use. I'm a big advocate. I could care less what you do in the gym. If your nutrition is not in check, you're not going to see the results you're looking for. So for me, we can dispel the myth of even debating between cardio or weights. Handle your nutrition first.
Right.
My next step above that is lifting weights. And the reason why is because God created our body to adapt to circumstances. That's how we survive. Like, we're built on adaptation. Even if you take that from a life standpoint, regardless if you realize it or not, like, I know for me, like, I have family that live in Southeast. I can't carry myself the same way I do when I go into my Bethesda office, the same way I do when I go visit family that's on that side of town. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, even being aware of my surroundings, different things like that. Like, you should be aware, but I have to adapt to that specific situation or that specific environment. It's the same thing like for cardio. So like, if I'm doing 20 minutes, right, and my heart rate's at 130 beats per minute, after 14 days, my body adapts to that. And now that's my new homeostasis, my new baseline.
Right.
Because the body does not like to be uncomfortable at all. So with that, it's going to try and get you back to like a baseline level as fast as possible. So your body adapts to cardio. With weights, the only way your body can adapt to the weights is by putting on more muscle. That's the adaptation. So with that muscle, the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories you burn at rest, because muscle is expensive. So with that, now you're pushing yourself further into a deficit. So you end up doing cardio while you're resting. But people don't view it that way. They view it as the more energy I output, the more results I'm gonna see. And that's not always the case. Because stress build, we go down a rabbit hole, but stress builds up. Once stress builds up, you down regulate your metabolism because your body doesn't want to respond no more. You don't lose weight. And that's why you see the cardio people, like heavy cardio people, like the Planet Fitness, the Ghost Gym, those be the people in the worst shape. The people that live on the treadmill.
I'm about to say, can't relate. Join your local running club. Nah, but it's real though, because like I used to go to Goals as well. And you know, you would see a lot of I think the other thing about like weightlifting now, like as I'm processing, one of the biggest reasons people don't like going to the gym and trying to get to that transformative process is because what they visually see.
Right.
When you walk into certain places like Goals is big, brolic, you know, women in there.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I definitely, because I go to Gold sometimes, and it definitely be intimidating.
Yeah, like I'm saying, women be big, brolic as ever, and then it's like that's intimidating for women. There's big, brolic dudes in there, and that's intimidating for a guy who's just getting in there.
Right.
And then there's also, I've seen big dudes who are jumping rope. Yeah. Right. Like it's no tomorrow.
Right.
And that could also be intimidating for, you know, somebody.
A beginner, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, how does somebody get over that process? Or if somebody is very like intimidated or shallow about their confidence going in there and seeing other people like rippling arms or in the shape that person views as ideal, but they're like, I could never get to that.
Right.
How do they get to that mentally?
Just honoring your process. So I feel like we go into those situations like I could never be that. But one thing that, especially because I have clients come to me with those same issues, like they don't feel comfortable in the gym or they didn't. And that's why I focused on like, all right, let's focus on building your confidence inside and outside the gym. And it starts with you. So stop focusing on I can never be like that and start shifting to I want to be the best person I can be. When you develop that tunnel vision, it don't matter who's in the gym at that point. All right. And then now I'm educated on, all right, this is proper form. This is how you live. And that's how I feel like I've been able to run a successful business for so long and never had lack, never had to worry about adding clients, have wait lists, all that stuff, because of the simple fact that I've been able to understand that people just need to know how to work out. Once you know how to do that, it don't matter who's in the gym. All right, you're not as big as them. You're not lifting as much weight, but you'll get there one day. Now we're involved in a process of trying to reach that point, but you don't feel as foolish. I feel like people feel they lack the confidence because they feel like they don't know what they're really doing. And then they're like, oh, that's the professional. Like, and half of the time, the big brolic niggas be the one with terrible form. Right. They don't really be lifting weight. It's just all fluff. You know what I'm saying? And it's genetics, different things like that. So it's like when you remove that caveat and you actually like get people to believe in themselves, that's why I truly, truly focus on like allowing people to understand their own potential. Once somebody unlocks that, they never lose it.
When it comes to people's potential, why go through all the pain, the waking up early, the staying late? Why go through all that when you can go get liposuction, Ozempic, and go about it that route, and you could lose the weight?
Yeah. You can lose the weight, but I don't feel like this is true.
You're gonna look stupid.
You're going to look stupid, but your internal health is what really matters. I could care less how you look. You could look amazing on the outside and internally be trash. Lipo not going to fix that. Lipo's not going to fix a vitamin deficiency. You know what I'm saying? So like with that, you have your micronutrients determine how you feel. So if you're like for Ozempic, for instance, Ozempic is almost like basically it just is a hunger cue. So it cuts that off to make you end up eating less, right? For people that help regulate their blood sugar so they don't have those big spikes in glucose. With that, by doing that, you end up eating less. With those people that eat less, they end up missing out on being able to get all their vitamins and minerals and different things like that. So you look good, you feel terrible. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, I focus on like the overall package of like, all right, I want you to not just look good, I want you to feel good, and I want you to look good while doing it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like taking the shortcut, yeah, you'll look good, but I want you to buy into the process of being the overall best version of yourself, not just looking like it.
I got a quick question because you just said micronutrients controls how you feel.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Okay.
Can you dig deeper into that?
So there's the main two are micronutrients and macronutrients. So your micronutrients are like your vitamins, your minerals. Those are packed in like your vegetables mainly.
Okay.
Vegetables, fruits. They're in like your proteins a little bit, but mainly your veggies and fruits.
So you're saying if you eat more veggies and fruits, you can feel better about yourself inside. Like it boosts your self-esteem.
100%. 100%.
Doja Cat screaming.
Yeah.
She don't eat
100%,
vegetables
bro.
or fruits or something like that.
She's OC though.
Yeah.
She's something over her.
Yeah, crazy.
Okay.
Something over her.
So wait a minute. Macronutrients. I look at my protein shake. It's got 100% of everything in there.
Okay.
I can still take Ozempic because now I get all my micronutrients. I can take some more pills. My one a day give me, whatever else I need. So again, why go through all the pain, the suffering, the gas money, buying new clothes and all this stuff when it's like we got pills, we got capsules, we got protein shakes. Why go through all that?
And as you said, we are an overnight success country, society.
Right. So with that, the quick fix, it always backfires. Like
It's
I
temporary,
always,
right?
Yeah, I always see, and Ozempic is the new wave now. But even you hear people in the pharmaceutical industries, they still don't know the repercussions of it because it's so new. So with that, is my biggest thing would be educating people on the process of it all. So like, yeah, you can take the shortcut, but now you're missing out on the discipline. Imagine how say you have kids. Imagine how they'll look at you if they see you getting up and going to the gym. Ozempic's not going to be able to inspire that type of grit, determination, and discipline. I know a lot of my will, a lot of the discipline I have now is because of the father that I had and what I saw when he was waking up at 4 a.m. every morning. That's why me doing it now, it's like I seen bro do it all my life. So with that principle is now instilled in me to where it's like it's almost effortless to do it. So it may sound wild to people, but it's like I've saw it all my life, so it's nothing new to me. So my rebuttal to like why can't I just do this? Why can't I do that? It's like I want somebody to, like I said, transform inside and out. Ozempic, the pills, that's going to rob you from being able to do that because you miss out on the discipline. You miss out on developing the core values that you get from your fitness journey.
Not just serotonin levels, endorphins, all that.
All that. And then just from let's say, because most of the quick fixes has to do with a number on the scale, think about, we're talking about heart health. We're talking about testosterone. We're talking about all these different things that if I'm starving myself, like I said, even from you get the micronutrients in. Now, macronutrients, how you going to get all the carbs and proteins? You just going to drink protein shakes all day? Now you're missing out, once again, you're missing out from whole foods. And then you're almost, if you do protein shakes all day, now how is your hunger cues doing? It's like so much that goes into it. It's like it's the quick fix is going to backfire. I can guarantee it. And that's how I would kind of break it down to somebody. Like it looks good on paper, but in the end, will you be OC proud of the process that you went through if you're able to pull absolutely nothing from it?
Okay. Did you have a question? Because I kind of wanted to go to more to like the content.
Right.
So Kel, when Kel was introduced you to like saying he wanted to bring you on, I did some research and he said that you do what is it? Isolation Diaries and Transformational Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like what are those things and what inspired those?
Okay. So the Isolation Diaries, the inspiration behind that.
And where can they find them? I'm sorry, where can they find them?
So my personal Instagram is David Turner YSI on Instagram, and TikTok as well. So with that, I started that. Well, one, I went into 40 days of isolation. I did that because I had some stuff I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to move into a new spot, and also I wanted to maximize like my productivity because I was working. What was it? I think I was working 16 hours Monday through Thursday, and then 10 on Friday.
16 hours a day?
Yeah. So almost 75-hour weeks. Just week in, week out. And with that, I knew I had to kind of, and I was going into a season where I really wanted God to use me this year. And I felt lost in the first half of the year by going through some stuff. So I had to pull myself into isolation to find myself. And one thing that I took from that series was isolation gave me the inspiration to imagine my future again. Because I feel like we get so busy that we lose our imagination behind really or just vision. So I tied vision and imagination, just switched the words around. But yeah, the isolation gave me the inspiration to like use my imagination again. And from there, I got vision on like what I wanted to execute this year, vision on like, all right, where I want to take the business, where I want to take my personal brand. And I just documented everything. Like I said, because I want to be able to look back on, all right, this is where I started at the beginning of that series. At the end, you see me moving into my new spot. You see me being able to take the trips that I wanted to take and different things like that. And I was able to do that just in a 40-day span. And it helps people get inspired to know, like, I'm a normal nigga. Like, it's nothing special about me, bro. Like, I just put the work in and I just allow God to use me. He opened the doors. I just prepare myself for the opportunity. So with that, it's like showing people, like, this is what I did to go there. You can take these same steps and hopefully get the same results.
And what about Transparency Tuesday?
So Transparency Tuesday, that aligns with my core values. So I started that because once I developed those 9, it's like, all right, what content can I create? And then one of the T's is transparency. So I said, all right, how can I show up in a space where I feel like transparency isn't cool? Like you want to put on this facade and be the best version of yourself at all times. How can I show up in that space and kind of just fulfill like, all right, this is what I'm struggling with this week. Or this is something that God is teaching me right now. That's not the cool thing to do. So with that, I said, all right, I'm gonna start doing Transparency Tuesdays to teach principles that God is teaching me in this season, talk about my struggles, talk about how I'm navigating them, allow people to take those principles and apply them to their life.
I think that really allows the end user or the person watching yourself to really relate, because I'm going through the same stuff myself, where you lose yourself, you try to figure out what's going on, you have like these thoughts and everything else. Like, how do you like grab that person's attention? Right. But the way we were talking about, especially this podcast, is those vulnerable moments. Right. You always have the social media influencer, yo, I'm out in Bali, I'm out over here, you know, duffel bag, you broke, right? And my money up, right? But and people feel discouraged because they feel as though that gap between the haves and the have-nots is growing as we go more into this recession. Exactly. So now when people can see, like, wait a minute, he ain't doing all that good. Yeah. Maybe I'm all right. But then it's like, wait a minute, this is a genuine message. It's not he's just like down bad, not like step on shit, but it's like, how have you seen that kind of impact your platform, just being transparent and making that switch?
Yeah, so one thing that I saw is, like you said, I feel like I was able to connect with a lot more people. I feel like I was getting more messages like, dang, bro, I'm going through the same thing. Or like, if I felt like you was talking directly to me because this is something I'm dealing with in this season. And it's like being able to know, like, even if it's one DM or even if I get one like on my content, I could care less. I can't say that was always true, but because I wasn't operating from a sense of like, I'm just giving people the principles that I went through so they can use them to see. I want God to use, I always say this, I want God to use me as a billboard for his power. So I want you to see like, bro, this is what happens when you set God as the foundation of your life. This is the transformation that takes place. For me, it was going from a place of brokenness to God putting me back together and putting me back together on a pedestal. So with that, the way that I've seen it transform my platform is me becoming a lot more relatable to people and God being able to use me a little bit more for more like real life problems. Like it's cool to be like the motivation aspect of content, cool. Me doing the fitness education stuff, cool. People get hope from that too. But to be able to touch somebody's heart, like I get DMs of people telling me like they cried off of my content. And it's not me. Like it's just, I'm just literally, I allow God to speak through me. And he's taken me through certain seasons to where like now I can give people these principles. And it's like a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. And it's not the cool thing to talk about, so they suppress it. I'm not going to be a part of that problem.
Right.
If anything, I want you to see me as an outlet and relatable enough to be able to get poured into.
So now that you've gone through these seasons, what's next? Like you have the content, you have the
Before
transformation.
you go into what's next, like what's the recording process and the uploading process? Because as you said, you do a lot of things. So how do you set aside time to record and upload?
Hold on.
My apologies.
I'll just say, even to take it a step further, what does what's your whole process as far as like recording, the type of content you want to put out, while you're putting it out, like why you may hold something?
Right.
What's that whole process like?
So everything goes back to those 9 words. I cross-reference that list every time I'm about to post a video. But
My man was thirsty as shit.
Oh yeah, go.
My fault.
Hey, you know what they get?
My fault.
Go.
I don't know what they heard, man. They really exaggerating it, but I ain't gonna make no joke. I ain't gonna make no joke.
Let's sit back and let him finish.
Yeah,
As you were saying, brother.
Hey, you good,
I was
bro.
thirsty.
It's all right, bro.
Oh, he
Don't
was
let-
breathing heavy in the mic.
You good.
Go ahead.
So you said
refreshing ass
that
bottle
your
of water.
content starts with your
Yeah,
process starts with the 9 values.
Yeah, so I cross-reference it. So like, if I want to put out a video, it has to match up to one of them areas. So if it's not touching on transparency, is it showcasing discipline? Is it aesthetically pleasing? And one thing that I tell a lot of people that makes it easy for me to create is I literally just want people to have a sneak peek into my life. So like anytime I set up a camera, anytime I'm recording content, it's like, all right, I'm just setting this up. I want to put it in a place to where it looks like somebody's sneaking to record me. And I'm just doing stuff. Like I'm having conversations. I'm talking. I'm doing a set. If I'm going to like, if I'm mapping out, let's say a mini vlog to trip to the mall or something like that, I'm gonna just set up my camera wherever I go, walk past. Just, I'm
Do
real
you
big
like
on telling
detail
stories.
those steps out though?
No,
But I say
So it's all
there's-
natural.
Yeah,
it's just natural.
So there's no
set
date.
up.
There's no day where this is a record day, you know. So it's just whenever you feel like,
That's it. Everything's
Oh,
content.
no, you should see him. We be in the gym, bro.
Yeah.
whenever he's inspired.
Yeah, everything is content. Like, bruh, I could be, for me, because I do a lot of like, I try and do like a lot of inspirational stuff. So my biggest thing is being able to tell a story through my content. But I literally just take B-roll from days throughout the month. I could be vacuuming, bro. I could be taking some groceries in the house, but I'm able to paint a picture with that specific content. So literally, I record everything.
So is this just strictly Instagram, or is there some of this YouTube?
So
and
I haven't gotten to YouTube because that's a little bit more long form.
Yeah,
and it takes
we're
a lot,
working on it.
a lot more time to kind of build out those full vlogs. Like I'm cool with the 3-minute, maybe like a 7-8 minute video. But once we start talking 15, 20, that's a lot
there's
more.
a lot of like
Yeah.
3 to 7 minute vlogs on YouTube.
But
So,
we're work in
yeah,
progress.
I gotta-
We're still working on him on that.
So whenever you ready, I'm sure Kel got you. But
Yeah.
you can always come holler at us,
Yeah.
as well.
Oh,
I'ma tap in.
Oh, I ain't editing shit, my brother.
I didn't say editing. I
I
just
ain't
say
shooting.
whenever you
Yeah.
ready.
Nah, we coming. Yeah, you the man.
I appreciate that. I am. That's very much true.
Facts.
Shout out to Rich
Walking
Homie.
that, yeah.
Shout out to Rich Homie. Rest in peace. My fault.
You good,
Did you
you
still remember the question that you before I cut you off? I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, my fault. Hey, look, I just didn't want you to pivot too
Everybody
soon.
pivoting and shit.
Yeah.
I didn't want you to pivot too soon. My fault. Shout out to Ryan Clark and them boys. But go ahead.
Anyways, no, I'm joking. I was just like getting to the point of like what's next. Like you have the transformative business, you have consulting, you have the vlogs, you have your job. Like, where do you see yourself in, I guess, like 5 years or even 10 years?
Yeah, 5 years from now, my biggest thing that I feel like God is using, and I say the biggest thing I feel called to do in this season is tap more into like the really like personal coaching aspect of my business. Like I feel like I love training, but I feel like God is slowly like removing me from that field and kind of causing me to pour more so into helping people kind of find themselves. So taking the proper steps to educating myself on what that looks like in that space and becoming the best coach I can. So like, I feel like you learn from experiences the most. So just continue to go through life. Like allow God to put me in the right places, put me in the right positions, and doing my part. Like taking the proper certifications, the proper classes. And the biggest thing is like really launching that aspect of my brand. Like it's there, but like I said, a part of my core values is I want to be dominant in the fields that I'm in. Now it's like, all right, what's the step to be one of the best transformation coaches I could be? And they're going to be all different pillars. Like fitness is just a pillar. Now we're talking about like developing self-confidence. That's another pillar. But I also have the ability to do business coaching too. So that's another pillar that I can kind of dive into. So just broadening my horizons within that, but being the best transformation coach. That is the 5-year goal right now.
I got something new this time.
Yeah.
So a couple of books that came to mind throughout this conversation. The One Thing by Gary Keller, which is about how to find your focus and your purpose. The Alchemist. I forget
I
who wrote
love
that
Alchemist.
one.
The red drink.
Yeah, it's like reddish orange.
Dang.
But yeah, the Alchemist, which is about
All of these books will be in the description.
Yeah.
you can go to my Amazon store and buy the. No, I do need to set these up. But yeah, the Alchemist, which is about enjoying and trusting the process and realizing it's more about the journey than it is the destination.
Yeah.
Paulo Coelho.
Who?
I don't know how to say
He's
the
a
last name.
Brazilian author. Yeah.
Paulo Coelho.
There you go. Anyways, so as far as, and I'm asking this one for myself, right? Audience, you feel how you feel. When it comes to trying to figure out how to discover yourself, and like you said, you have to take that 40 days to find yourself.
Right.
Is there a book? Is there a podcast? Is there some kind of resource that you would highly recommend to help you guide yourself along that process?
God.
So my main.
You don't care if we got atheists, following us. You don't care if we got Catholics, Buddhists.
My main
Hey,
thing
man, we always speak our truth.
is
It's my truth.
I gotta sit with Kel on this one and speak from what has helped me. So Colossians 3:3 is a verse that I reflect on a lot. And it's like your real life is hidden in Christ with God. So I took a lot of the principles that I have, even with business, a lot of things that I've pulled from is from the Bible. So like that's my first book, or my first order process is like, all right, God speaks to me through his word a lot. So I'm gonna go there, pull what I can. My biggest example is following in Jesus' footsteps. A lot of people like to bypass the part that Jesus was a carpenter. They just see the preacher aspect of it. Bruh did work. Yeah. He was a carpenter. And back in the day, in that time frame, carpenters didn't work for people. So Jesus was an entrepreneur. He did his work on alone. So using that as an example to map out
You
my
hear that,
life.
ladies? Some of y'all would have bypassed Jesus.
I ain't gonna lie. Something else I heard. I heard Jesus was a gangster.
Bruh, bro went hard.
Yeah.
They said
He just stood on 10.
My man flipped tables.
flip
Bruh,
tables,
flip
was
table.
hanging with the
But-
hoes,
Bruh,
the prostitutes.
We got to keep it 100. Jesus was outside. And I say that respectfully.
was.
Oh
because-
shit!
No.
That's who did. That's who did. He was right out there.
No, whoa. Jesus didn't even say this is crazy.
We might have to
No.
bleed that part.
No.
I'll bleed that out.
You need to leave.
But the,
Jesus,
the,
no,
the
but-
revert it starts. Yeah.
Yes. You have to think his first miracle was keeping the party going, not shutting it down. And we have a lot of people
Water
in the
to wine.
church. We have a lot of people in the church, and I feel like this is what discourages a lot of people from going. It's the fact that like people develop this messianic complex of trying to be.
Wait, what?
So a messianic complex is you're trying to be the second coming of Christ, basically, from a judgmental
word.
standpoint. So with that, like you look at people like you're Jesus, and you have to look at people like I need Jesus just as much as you do. So like my compassion for other people trying to find their way in Christ is, I feel like that's what makes me a lot more relatable because I know how Jesus accepted the sinners. Like, will I educate you on this is what I feel like Jesus is calling you to do with your life? He ordered us to follow in his footsteps. This is how he lived. This is how we are called to live in accordance to that. But there's also a work in progress to get there. If I was perfect, what's the purpose of him coming to die for my sins? You know what I'm saying? So being able to understand that core principle within itself allows the first level of transformation to happen. Now we can build on that. So understanding that one, Jesus descended from heaven and became a man. A lot of people view him as like almost like he was an angel on earth. No, he was God in man form. So he had the power of the Holy Spirit to be able to do the things that he did on earth. But Jesus was a man. Jesus still had a will. The Jesus that I read in the Bible didn't want to die on the cross for our sins at a certain point. Like he said, Father, if we can bypass this, yo, give me another option. Like I'm cool. Like I'm trying to keep living. I'm not trying to die for these people's sins right now. Respectfully, I'm not. But
The Babylonians.
he put that to the side and said, but your will be done. So for me, it's like if Jesus can set aside his will for what God wanted him to achieve from on earth, we all have a specific purpose. My purpose is to die for y'all sins. That ain't it. But God instilled a purpose in me to help transform, influence, inspire, and impact people to become the best version of themselves. That's my purpose in life. So now I live my life in accordance to that. So I do transformation coaching. So I curtail my content to be able to speak through transparency to drive that transformation. But if I didn't have that purpose behind like, all right, God put me on this earth to do this and have this specific way of doing it, then I'd be lost.
That's what's up. Hey, well, you said something. My fault. You good for cutting you off, but I felt what you said. No, pause. Before they said, but
The word became flesh.
Oh my goodness.
But nah,
And the flesh into that man's mouth.
You said that a lot of Christians feel like they're Christ themselves, and honestly, coming from because both I have like pastors and preachers on both sides of my family. Like my dad's a pastor, right?
Yeah.
And
Wait,
so,
what?
Yeah,
Never knew that, fool.
Yeah,
Never knew that, fool. What the fuck?
my dad's a pastor.
But we cannot tell. I just want you to know that.
Hey, they say son of a gun.
hey.
The apple fell far from the tree.
The apple fell real far.
Rolled.
The apple rolled down the hill. Yeah.
Took it away. The scarecrow took it back.
But now, that's funny. But now, I like when I used to go to church because I honestly I haven't been to church in years.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Shut up.
Sorry.
It's that did kind of like turn me off
Right.
like towards that
Right.
towards the church because there used to be like people who came to church. You know, some of them didn't. You could tell they weren't living
Right.
Christ-like.
Right.
And I used to hear these Christians like talk down on them,
Right.
not to them,
Right.
but on them.
Exactly.
And in my mind, I'm like, as a child, I'm like, isn't
ain't
that
right.
isn't don't the Bible say
Yeah,
don't judge
exactly.
anyone, you know, and come as you are.
Right. And gossiping is a sin within itself.
And it's a lot of gossip in
lot.
church.
It
It's
is.
like,
It is.
and honestly, that kind of for me like, why do I need to go to church when I feel like
Church is
y'all
me.
the biggest sinners in here. And y'all in here, but y'all are bigger sinners than me. Right. So that did like I kind of resonated with that, honestly. There was something else that you said that I forgot about. But before we close, I did have like, go ahead.
I guess I don't know if you had a question, but I got a question for the audience, or even this might even help you out a little bit more. How would you, like, if you could list 3 top, I don't want to say things, but like something that people can do to build their relationship with God? What would it be? Like the basics that they can start with.
So one thing that I task a lot of people with is just, I feel like the easiest book to go into in the Bible is John, when you want to kind of see Jesus' life. Like I said, that is our main example. Like, regardless of anything else, bro, like understanding, one, who came to die for your sins allows you to build that relationship with him. Like you said, a lot of people go into church, they go into church out of habit, and they don't go out of relationship. For me, I show up more so because like it's a different level of peace I get when I'm in his presence. And his presence is always surrounding, but I'm making an intentional decision to be submerged within the body of Christ. So that's why I go to church. But building that relationship first starts with understanding who you're building a relationship with. The easiest way to simplify this is when you first get to know a joint, she fire, right? If you're only talking to shorty, texting her, literally, you say, yo, good morning, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. And that's all y'all text throughout the day. How long is it going to take for y'all to build out an intimate relationship? Bricks.
I'm about to say, you may not ever get there.
You may not ever get there. So I take that principle and apply it to my relationship with him. And it's like, we can read, like, for some people, listening to it's a little bit better. But just one, being intentional of like, I want to build a relationship with this person. This is what it looks like. I have to take the time communicating. And he's going to speak a lot through his word. And you're going to be able to kind of learn like, all right, this is how Jesus lived. I'm going to start applying this principle. And he tells it throughout his word. Like, he tells us how we should live. One thing, when I first rededicated my life in 2017, the one thing that I asked God, I said, teach me how to love people, how you love me. And from there, like, my compassion, I feel like that's the only way I'm able to be a trainer. Literally, because my compassion, I want results for them more than they want it for themselves. Hands down.
I was going to ask you that. How is your faith and your
so like that? Literally, that is the only sustaining thing that allows me to keep the business going. Because there's times I'm just like, bro, I don't feel like dealing with this, bro. Like this, the background stuff with the business, you taking on the mental stress of all your clients.
We be talking.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about that as well.
You have to
definitely create a community.
You have to take that. You have to be able to hold that weight. But luckily, I'm not the one holding me up because God ordained me to do this. So whenever I feel, my fallback is on him.
Do you have therapists?
Yeah, I have a therapist. Go to her, and she kind of helps me navigate. And I feel like I'm an advocate for therapy because
Dr.
of
J?
Huh?
Dr. J?
No, Deborah.
Deborah Johnson. Yeah, Dr. J.
That's what you call her, Dr. J.
That's my black auntie, fool. I love Dr. Johnson, bro. Yes, bro. No, she's bro. Yeah, big advocate for therapists.
Make sure we talking about Julius Irvin.
Dr. J threw me off.
Nah, everybody, please go get a therapist. Big advocate
fine.
for that.
Oh yeah, and check out our episode. We have a licensed therapist on one of our past episodes.
Yeah,
a lot of gems.
Yeah.
Hit the like button.
I was gonna say to even piggyback off of that, bro, it wasn't really until like this year when we went through that first fast that I really like, oh, this is what it's like to have like, you know, God with you, or what it's like to, you know, have God living through you.
Yeah.
Especially with me wanting to and finding my purpose, bro. I know my purpose is here to serve people. You know, that's my original intent. So, and knowing that, it was like you said, bro, Jesus served us all, bro. He paid for all of our sins, bro. And, you know, even recently through my most recent fast, bro, we haven't had the chance to talk about it, but I learned that I didn't apply myself grace, bro. And it was one thing that Easy sent me, bro, that like just stuck with me until then. God shows you grace, so why can't you show yourself grace? And, bro, that was the answer right there. So, yeah, bro. Shout out to you. You definitely.
Nah, I feel like, bro, a lot of I think people bypass the understanding that forgiveness is free.
Also, without those
it's free.
fasts, bro,
Yeah.
like and me getting closer to God and continue to build my relationship with God and be more
Exactly.
intentional behind it, bro, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Like, I wouldn't be the
100%.
man. Like you
Yeah.
tell me all the time, I'm a different person
Yeah.
than what
Guaranteed.
I was.
Yeah. So like even like work, like, I'm top performer there, right? With that, a lot of people ask me like different techniques and stuff like that, and I feel like they get mad when I give them the answer. Bro, it's God. Like the amount of favor I have there it doesn't make sense because it's almost to a point where it's like, bro, niggas ain't even trying for.
Are you
And
a
it's
top
like-
performer?
Yeah.
Let me hold $1.
Hold that.
Are you a tech
That's
sales?
really-
I've been holding that one. I know tech sales. Wait, let me hold 5.
Yo, so
Park
another
on.
episode I would like to have you back just to
Yeah.
go on
Yeah.
over sales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that is dope.
Major.
Hold on. You know we could just pause, right? We could pause the record and you take care of your business.
Nah. Let's wrap it up, fool.
All right,
minute 15.
15, bro.
Oh damn! You know the first like 4 or 5 minutes we were just talking, but yeah. All right, cool. I do want to.
You keeping all of that shit on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna cut the first part out.
No,
I mean,
bro.
no, it's gonna be extra. I'm gonna put it out as extra, not in the podcast though.
We was talking about good shit, yo. I just want y'all to know that.
Who's
Whatever. I
No,
do.
we need to take out the Diddy part. After
Yeah,
this.
that got to get edited.
That'll give us 30 seconds back.
Hey man,
Wrap it up.
Anyways, I do want to give you like a plug, like you'll be able to plug your Instagram, your businesses as well.
Yeah.
Also, want to give my co-hosts like
Yeah.
time to plug their businesses as well.
Right.
Because this is a professional podcast
Right.
that's used to plug our businesses. So where can they find you, and if they want to do business with you, or they want you to train them, or whatever, how can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at David Turner YSI. That's the personal YSI. So it stands for
You
You
See
See It. Yeah. So that is and then my business, one business is YSI.fitness. That's my training business. I take the coaching inquiries on there for fitness training. I take them more like professional and like self-coaching or transformation coaching on my personal page. And then I also have a Christian clothing brand that I'm relaunching at the end of this year called Dedicated to Christ.
Okay, and do you know where they can be able to find that if they come back to it?
So I have it's both of them are in my personal bio, but it's Dedicated the number 2 Christ on Instagram.
Okay, that's a bet. That's a bet.
Yeah, I'll make sure you have a website up.
We will plug that in the description as soon as
sir.
we have it. Now, Alex, you have a school. You have different courses, right? So where can someone who's interested in doing business with you or connecting with you, like to learn more about Turo, Airbnb, or tech, like how can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at _AJTHE, the number 1. TikTok is _Alex_J. So my websites are in there. I'm still under construction because right now it's like this is the phase of life that I'm in, is trying to figure out purpose. Like had this huge run up, became social media famous, had all these hurdles and got a senior position in tech. And it's just like, nah, gotta take a step back, realize like what is that true passion, what is that true purpose. So even people who are famous on social media still going through shit.
But you do have a school though, so like what are some of the things they can learn on that from the content that you already have?
Just the absolute basics of like A to Z fundamentals for Turo and Airbnb. And honestly, I'm thinking about doing something similar to like we were talking about, which is just transparency of like along your journey, these are things that are going to happen to you.
Damn. And it's crazy that this is a faith-based one because,
I just prayed on this last night, actually.
I didn't know you prayed, bro. Congrats, bro. I'm proud of you.
That's
bro.
crazy.
Nah,
And they said not to say heathens.
Get away from me.
so I believe God speaks through me. To me, through,
Oh, Lord. God damn.
I believe God speaks to me through people, and I want to say that is the 3rd time I done heard that. So
Today? This week?
nah, like
in
this
general?
week,
In general,
yeah. So something I'm definitely about to work on.
I prayed for clarity, and that's the thing I want people to understand is you can ask for something, you don't get to dictate how it comes to you.
You should fast. Do a water fast, bro. I promise you'll get the most clarity out of your life. But
Yo,
yeah, my mentor, he actually challenged me for the next 30 days to. We started on Monday, but next 30 days, record yourself 5 to 10 minutes, just talking about your journey and where you are right now as a entrepreneur, and just every day how you feeling, all that type of stuff. You just keep doing it.
All right. Hey, so Kel, where can they find you, and what are some of the things that you're working on?
This rump up on fast.
Yeah.
Find me,
so never mind. We gonna cut that.
And thank you for coming.
You can find me at Mogul since 97. That's 97, the numbers. You can also find my other Instagram at evolve.bsg. Working on 2 different series right now, releasing them in October. About to flood y'all with a lot of content. I plan on uploading those videos. This what I was just telling y'all about my journey as a entrepreneur. So be on the lookout for our OPA to OPM extra content. You know, we're gonna create another playlist or something. But yeah, definitely working on a lot of content. Been working with Alex on business automation. So yeah, bro, I'm loving how business is coming together, and then I'm looking forward to, this process.
Alex, I do want to talk to you about the art.
Hold on, wait. What's your shit, nigga?
That mill ain't got nothing, apparently.
Real way RAI.
You know what?
Go ahead and get the point in.
See why you do all that? Right?
You still doing it, that's why.
All right, fuck it. So real way to success.
Spell that.
Nah.
RAILWAY 2 SUCCESS. I can spell.
Yay, class.
Niggas. But anyway, so honestly, I'm focusing on growing this YouTube channel. So if you following this already, you already doing your part to help me out. Also, I do podcasting. So if you have like mobile podcasting, so if you have a podcast and need anything video edited, recorded, you can hit me up on IG. There's a site coming up real soon, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I did want to talk to you about automation. Yeah.
Say it slow.
Man, I can't. As you can see, I struggle.
Where's that water bottle?
No, but let's just end this.
Like, subscribe, comment, share.
Yes,
comment.
Yes, like,
Comment
subscribe,
too, yeah.
comment, share. And yeah, man, if you enjoy the comment, please leave. If you enjoyed the content, please leave a comment.
You trying to bust a rhyme?
If you enjoy the content, please leave a comment. If there's anything that we could do better, please leave a comment. Look, we appreciate all intel.
I don't take constructive criticism too well. So nah. Saying that shit, my bad, y'all.
Niggas.
Alex.
Niggas.
All right, David, I appreciate you coming out,
Appreciate
bro.
y'all, man.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you, man, gifting us with your time, man. Amazing energy, amazing presence. A lot of gems in this episode.
Appreciate you, bro.
Alex, do you have anything to close us out with, or what?
Yeah, I think this was another great episode. It's more faith-based, the one that I think a lot of people can relate, where they're seeing the struggles. They understand that not everything is all glitz and glam, and that it takes something outside of you to get to that next level. It's not always going to be just pure willpower to get to that next level, and understand that, your purpose, your calling, doesn't just come to you clearly.
Yeah.
It's something that's going to come over time and through the trials and tribulations and all the things that make life seem as though life is crumbling. That's what makes it beautiful, because now it's something that you can get to that next playing field. So I think you're doing really great work when it comes to educating people on how to get their body right, but also their mind right.
Appreciate that.
And their spirit right, to make sure that they really have a holistic standpoint. So I think that's what is going to really showcase this episode, and that's how you get from Jesus' audience to other people's money.
Peace.
That's right, facts.
Yo, that was wild. That was wild.
I thought 3 was cool.
All right. Yo, we
So I kept trying to
we done
finish.
hit 3 other things today. We done hit the 3 Ds.
Damn.
Oh, we had to